Hey guys, this is Medicaid Trilliant here for MMOHuts.com, bringing you another First Impressions video. This time around we'll be talking a little bit about DarkScape. It's an open world PvP version of RuneScape created for those who are looking for something a bit more hardcore. This version of the game is not for the faint of heart, but it offers a few unique features that we'll be discussing today. So, without further ado, let's jump right on in. RuneScape. One of those games that I played excessively when I was younger. In fact, RuneScape is the game that got me into MMORPGs to begin with, so I owe roughly 50% of my gaming life to this monstrous soul-sucker. With that said, we're actually not here to talk about RuneScape, we're here to talk about DarkScape. As I mentioned, the game is an open world PvP version of the standard RuneScape with a few extra features, so basically wilderness everywhere. Because the wilderness rules in standard RuneScape apply to pretty much the entire DarkScape realm. It is also only playable in Legacy mode, which means evolution of combat is not a thing in DarkScape. Some of you may have a large sigh of relief like me, and some of you are probably going to be like, oh no, no evolution of combat, what am I gonna do? And I don't know what to tell you. I'm actually okay with Legacy mode because I only played Legacy servers in standard RuneScape anyways. Since this is basically a giant face-punching free-for-all, we'll talk a bit about how PvP works. In DarkScape, there are 3 different types of threat areas that are all separate from one another and have their own rules. These threat areas are low threat, medium threat, and high threat areas. A low threat area has specific risk levels, meaning if an area is a risk level of 5, only players within 5 levels above or below can attack you, and vice versa. Risk levels vary from region to region, but for the most part it should be within about 60 or so levels. And when I say levels, by the way, I mean your combat level. There are some areas that have a risk level of 99, but they're very few and very specific areas. Like, sometimes you'll do a quest and you'll go into an instanced area that has a risk level of 99, but it really doesn't matter because it's an instance and there's nobody else in there with you. Along with risk levels, low threat areas also have guards. These guards have a combat level of 138 and are generally not easy to kill. If you've attacked somebody and you have a skull and crossbones over your head, you will be attacked by the guards. This is also a good way to identify PKers because PKers have the skull and crossbones icon over their head. Guards patrol the towns and roads of low threat areas, so choose wisely if you plan to PK newbies. Medium threat areas have no risk level, but they also have guards in the towns. However, there are no guards on the road in medium risk level areas, so transporting goods is a bit more difficult because you don't have the added protection. It's best to go with a group if you need to travel to a medium threat area. High threat areas have no guards and no risk levels. This is probably where you're gonna die a lot. Chances are you've got the highest level characters in the game patrolling these parts looking for players with expensive gear to take for their own. It's really not recommended to go to these areas alone. It's actually not really recommended to go anywhere in this game alone. If you're a low level character and you have to pass through these high threat areas, don't take anything expensive. You can and most likely will lose all of it. Another interesting feature about these threat areas is the Grand Exchange and banks are locked to these regions. In your bank account you'll see 3 tabs. You'll have a low threat, a medium threat, and a high threat tab. You can only access the tab specific to the threat area you're in, meaning you can't bank items in a low threat area and expect to retrieve them in a high threat area. And it's the same for the Grand Exchange. All the Grand Exchanges are limited to the areas that they're in. So if you're in a high threat area that has a high threat Grand Exchange, the economy and everything for sale is all based within that high threat area, including prices. Early levels in the low threat areas can be a bit annoying when you're first starting out. Gathering resources especially, because for no apparent reason people will come up and attack you. On the plus side, you can rest assured that they won't make it back to the bank with your loot because they're going to be killed by the guards, but it's still annoying nonetheless. There were several instances when I was attacked and killed while mining for copper or just cutting down trees for logs. I also decided to stop wearing armor and anything that was hard to obtain early on because of this. Honestly, it's just not worth it. just mine or gather resources with no equipment on and hope for the best. Or, like I said earlier, work with a group of friends who can gang up on your PKer and protect you. Aside from being a giant low polygon bloodbath, DarkScape also has something else that's quite unique about it. 90% of all the members features in standard RuneScape are free to non-members. That means you get all the members' skills, quests, equipment, etc. absolutely free without having a membership. So what do paying members get if everybody gets all of their stuff for free? Well, members of RuneScape get an additional 50% EXP boost, double the amount of bank space, and you're also able to keep an extra item upon death. That's pretty neat, right? Besides, members need to get something out of their monthly subscription fee since everybody else gets all their other features for virtually nothing. Having all the members' features doesn't mean that every skill or feature in the game is available within DarkScape. Some features have been disabled in order to make the game cater a bit more to the hardcore crowd. Dungeoneering is disabled. The skill shows up in your skills tab, but dungeoneering itself is no longer available. Money pouches, clan citadels, and item lending are also disabled in DarkScape, which makes it even more difficult to transport items, meaning you have to play with an entirely new strategy and always be on guard. The game is grittier than normal. It won't be easy to get your inventory full of uncooked shrimp from one area to the next, especially when somebody else is hungry and can come along and kill you for it. Also, the treasure hunter minigame is disabled as well. I just thought I'd make a mention of that. Since I've started playing DarkScape, it's really brought back a lot of fond memories that remind me of a time when I was younger and RuneScape was basically my life. Aside from the days where I'd go to my local public library and nerd it up with my buddies from intermediate school and just play RuneScape for the better portion of, well, every day, DarkScape emphasizes teamwork and strategy, and I know, I keep repeating the whole work with a team, don't go alone, but I do that for a reason. You need to work with a team. Make some friends, guys. Don't try to play solo. My experience so far has only resulted in constantly restarting from scratch, gathering materials and whatnot. But that's also because I have a limited amount of time to play and actually communicate with other players. I didn't feel it'd be right for me to go in, make friends with somebody for a day or two, and then just connect never again and move on to something else. Needless to say, DarkScape is a lot of fun if you like PvP and RuneScape. It presents an interesting new challenge that doesn't limit you based on whether or not you're a paying player. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to check out DarkScape, there's a link in the description. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to MMOHuts while you're at it, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.